Got it. Oh, hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial. I know the title sounds scary, and probably there is a reason. Our famous astrologer Trifon will lead us through the month of April 2024 using Sidereal Astrology, ancient Babylonian knowledge, ancient Hellenistic astrology, all of the ancient astrologies. He's master of that. And he told me, say triple alert. And I'm like, yeah, we know April is gonna be quite testing, though exciting, big changes. And I'm very looking forward to hear the ancient and actual constellational perspective with the great eclipse, the great American eclipse, as it's called, a comet appearing, the devil comet, and the cycle of Saturn and Mars, the two malefics, starting a new a new
Soon.
hello Trifon.
Hello, everybody.
Thank
So
you.
let's smile first because there will be a lot of negative astrological omens and cycles to explain now.
Can
But
you just tell us though? I know it's eclipses, it's comets, but it can be good for on a personal level for people as well. Because I've noticed that many times eclipses will activate in the life on a personal level something quite good, like a big chapter in life, which is always stressful, but it can be something very good as well. So if you can give some.
you know the saying that everybody think is happening for some good reason. So I guess this is what I can say here.
Okay, so before you start, I want to tell people that Trifon is offering 2 of his readings for the next 14 days only at a discounted price for our viewers only. One of them is 60 minutes with him. It's down to $175 from $250. And the other one is 1-year business horoscope for those of you who are interested to know about your business. It's only $250 for the next 2 weeks, down from $350. I'm putting a link in the description below for anyone who wants to reserve your spot or to take opportunity of this offer. So you have the word now, Trifon.
Okay, so everything has to be taken with, so to say, a grain of salt because, as you're saying, the negative cycles sometimes are trigger for something good later to happen. So, but this is what we can say here, because the negative is after all also negative. But in the whole month, there is also some positive things. I will, however, list them in the end. But before starting to talk about all those topics, I will just mention for the predictions that came true from the last video. There is actually, this is huge. The prediction is very specific, and it happened to almost to the day where it was mentioned that it will happen. If you remember, I cited the ancient texts, so the credit goes to the ancient astrologers, of course, that the elongation of Mercury around 24th of March will mean shipwrecks in rivers and seas, etc. This was the ancient text. And a couple of days earlier, before that, there was a Japan ship that had catastrophe, and he had a lot of poison on board. But later, 2-3 days later, and this is more well known in the last days, as you know, especially in US, but for the entire world, is what happened in Baltimore, the ship that destroyed the bridge at Baltimore with the consequences of lost lives, etc. And this was also only 1-2 days from the moment that the ancients are saying that this will happen. And the ancients are saying especially this condition of Mercury in the same sign in Pisces has to be. Pisces is the sign of the ocean, sign of water. Maximum distance from the sun of Mercury being in the constellation of Pisces, the sidereal sign of Pisces. If I had chosen to interpret this text from the point of view of the tropical astrology, of the Western astrology, nothing would have happened. Because Mercury would have been in Aries, I would have had to say something else, etc., and nothing like that would have happened. I would have missed the opportunity to make correct prediction, and actually, the credit goes to the ancient astrologers who are using sidereal astrology for having extremely correct observations, writing them down, and to all the people who preserved those texts and translated them later, etc. So this is one thing.
Do you get a kick out when something disastrous happens and you're like, I was right, yes?
No. I have this kick because it shows the astrology is correct on the mass level. So now this is like a big thing that shows how astrology really works in the eyes of everyone. Whoever can look the video, this is the proof, the living proof. The ancient text states this, it will happen in the future comes, and in the exact moment it happens, right? So, and so this is based on the ancient text. So this is one of the predictions that came true. However, the big one, so to say. There was another thing that I mentioned based on my own astrological experience, but still also, of course, the basis on the ancient astrology, like knowledge about it. I mean, so I mentioned that there will be a spiritual person that will be in danger, to have great problems, health issues, and even to die. So, in my home country, it happened that the patriarch, the leader of the church, died. This was true, but on other level that is better known for the world, not only for Bulgaria, what happened is that a famous spiritual guru, who by the name Sadhguru, underwent big health issues in the last days, from what I know, like, and almost have lost his life. Yeah. So, and this was related to the transit of Saturn close to a star symbolizing spiritual persons. I'm talking about the star Fomalhaut. And these events are at the same time a recognition for those people, like the Bulgarian Church Patriarch and Sadhguru, because in this way, the heavens themselves are giving them credit for being related to the meaning of the heaven as related to spirituality. The star Fomalhaut,
the pure ones. Pure
yes,
teaching.
they have spiritual qualities, obviously. So, or at least they have also big place in the stage about that. Surely. No doubt about it, especially for the last one. And so when the planets are making movements and connections, and the events are happening to certain people, this is also an acknowledgement for the quality and the importance of the people related. It shows the highest importance, the highest level of quality as well. The star Fomalhaut is a star that was considered in ancient Persia, for example, to be one of the royal stars. The other three stars representing the king, the general, and the wealthy man in the country, but Fomalhaut represents the spiritual leader. It is considered today the main star, the brightest star in the constellation Piscis Australis, the Southfish, in translation from Latin. And so this happened. The supposed meaning, from my point of view, also happened. So we have two predictions that became true. But please don't go mad or scared for the things that I will be mentioning that are coming. So, I mean, whatever bad cycles can be there in the future, they're also related to specific people and their own cycles of life. And I mean, if you do not have bad cycles coming for you, you will be mostly an observer of what is happening. So no need to be scared. But this time, maybe people have to be a little bit more worried. And let's talk about why. The triple alert, as the title of the video says, is about the eclipse, the comet, and Saturn and Mars. This relates to what is about to happen in the sky above the Central and North America. We're only days away from the total solar eclipse that will last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It will be visible above certain part of Mexico and US and Canada.
That's longer than the 2017 one, which was 3 minutes. This one
Yes,
is
this is the
almost
longest
like-
one. Yeah. So the logic of modern
I heard
astrology.
that they were writing in the newspapers in the 70s about this great American eclipse. They were talking about it, that it will be the biggest we've seen. If we...
Yeah, I already bought my glasses to observe the eclipse. I'm preparing, even though from my place where I am now in Florida, it will be not visible totally, but still I'm preparing. So, however, I'm not advising anyone to watch the eclipse from astrological point of view. I will tell you even a personal story about observation of eclipse. So to watch the eclipse is a little bit like my duty. I have to do it for astrology reasons. But in general, the advice of the ancients goes against observing it for the people. From an energy point of view, it may be not like good thing for you to do. Not to mention the danger for the eyesight in the case of solar eclipse. Also, on the day of an eclipse, much more disasters can happen in people's lives. So things that are not there on the news. I remember when I was, it was maybe the eclipse was in 1999. So there was a big solar eclipse in Europe in 1999 in August. The famous eclipse that Nostradamus points out when he says that the king of terror will fall from the sky in the 7th month, 1999. So in that time, August, which for Nostradamus is July because he uses the old calendar, there was a solar eclipse, and in that time, on the same day, I almost drowned. I barely survived. When I was able to go out of the currents from the sea, there was also a body of a man, 10 meters maybe from me, who did not survive. So this was an eclipse. Be careful on an eclipse. Be careful. Bad things can happen. Dangers can happen on such a day. And this is because naturally the sun, for many people, especially those who are born at the daytime, not for all, but for many of them, the sun can be the so-called Hilek, or the Arabic. This comes from the Arabic word hilash. So Hilek is the planet that is responsible for your life spark. But even if the sun is not related to this for you, then it is surely related to other places in the chart, and it is surely a general significator of the soul. So no need to be crazy, but don't do important things. Don't take risks, right? Don't go to swim deep into the sea, for example. Like in my case, I survived because I was in that time, I was in really great shape. So anyway, so the eclipse is coming, and this, of course, brings about the question, what will happen? But let's first draw the picture of what is expected to be seen in the sky. Now, this is very popular topic, and people can read about it all over the news in the next days, exactly when and what will be seen. But in general, what is expected is that except the long total solar eclipse. There will be also Saturn and Mars conjunction visible on one side, potentially, and a comet on the other side, left and right. And so we'll see like the full full jackpot of disastrous omens surrounding the eclipse.
Wow.
It's like a jackpot in the negative sense, right? So the comet in
Will
that
it be
time,
visible though? They say it might not be visible, this one.
yes, I know. So, but we'll see. I will remind you that the so-called devil comet that I'm talking about, and this is the easiest way you'll find it on internet, on Google. The abbreviation now is the devil comet. So, title, the popular name. So, the devil comet is capable of sudden outbursts. Even if she is like not so well visible, in certain moments she can throw out a lot of material like gas, ice, and so on, and this will create much more light. And when she does so, she looks a little bit like the devil's head with its horns in the central circle of the comet. So she is also starting to form a tail. And she made this outburst back on the 5th of October 2023. 2 days later, attacks on Israel started.
The same comet?
The same comet, yes. So this is from the things that you have to, in the ancient times, there was a watch. Astrologers were doing a watch to the sky. For example, like anywhere, like Babylon or even ancient China, wherever the astrology was a serious topic. They had this watch, and each night they were watching the sky for things like that, because you cannot always predict. You can see the movements of the planets, you know about certain stars, but there are also in the skies, there are mysterious phenomena, there are unexpected things. And this is one of them. One of the things that can happen is a comet that can appear or can just like flash for a moment, but this still gives sign. And so we don't know, this comet is exactly of this time. We don't know when she will do something.
Sorry. Yeah.
And it is expected, however, to be visible. Even if she's not visible with very bright light, she's still present. She's still a sign. I will remind you about that.
They say the color is greenish. What would you say about the color? Because I know
The greenish color is supposedly lucky color, by the way.
Oh.
Yes, the green color is the only one that is lucky. Of course, green is related to Mercury and the moon in part, as a nature, the green color. And the ancient texts were saying that the green color may mean the elevation of an important person to government.
Government.
Yes. Someone who has not been well known before that. So this is one of the reasons. But the other thing that is there in the ancient text about this comet is also something else. They say it's important when the comet appears to naked eye visibility, where she is doing so. And we'll see then in what area of the sky she will become visible. Now she is in Pisces, which is the sign of the ocean. We saw that there are definitely disasters. So potentially this event still can happen. You have more shipwrecks, more disasters related to the oceans can happen. But if she make an outburst and become brighter in the constellation that she will be when the sun is eclipsed, she will be in Aries.
Ooh.
And if she appears in Aries, Aries is the sign of wars and conflicts.
Ooh. And you said it's connected to Israel because it flashed in October before the.
Yes, this was the sign, one of the signs for the war in Israel. There was also another comet back in August, whose meaning was also intensifying of wars. If you remember, I have predicted that there will be intensifying. This happened, but this comet pinpointed the time, 5th of October. She made the sign. And so, if the comet appears in Aries, it's a stronger sign for wars. But anyway, this comet, if you remember from the videos from the past, the first time when I saw this comet is coming, I checked everything, and it appeared that this comet is appearing in certain times when specific type of wars are happening, and they were always involving USA.
In 1811, 1812, it appeared, something like that.
Yes, for example, the year 1812.
Yeah, 1812, yeah.
It's a
Wasn't
colonial
eclipse?
war between USA and England and Canada territory involved.
And
This
there
is
was
the
an
first one.
eclipse at the same time, a big eclipse over the States as well.
Exactly. The next time, 70 years later, also was related to certain war of USA. Maybe it was, I have to check, maybe it was US and Spain. But later, the next time when she appears is when the Vietnam War starts, which not immediately, but a little later, has direct involvement of US. And so the last time was when the Vietnam War started. The Vietnam War started when the last time this comet was close by. So,
Wow.
and so now, drawing conclusion from those things, there can be a war involving US about some a little bit colonial-like matter. Of course, this will involve former colony territories, I guess, the matter of freedom, the matter of influence, of course, everything that the wars are happening for. But the scale is not grand, according to the logic of this comment. It's not grand. I mean, it's not like World War or something, but it's still bigger than just some conflict. Much bigger, important event. And so intensifying of wars is indicated by this comet. This is the sign from the sky, and this was what happened in the past, right? This is what I'm following here. Each time she is appearing, and even there was other times that were observed supposedly by the medieval observers. And when she appeared in the medieval times, there was wars. So there are like at least 4 instances when she was seen and the war started. Of course, wars are not something uncommon for humanity. Remember this, especially in the more distant past. Let's hope people will be able to mitigate the matter somehow. Let's not forget that the astrological era is advancing, and supposedly people are supposed to progress at least one part of humanity that may be on the one side of the conflict. And so this is about the comet, right? The eclipse itself will last 4 minutes and 30 seconds, as we mentioned, and the logic is here that the effect of this eclipse will be there for 4 years and a half. Each minute corresponds to a year.
So it's not that it will immediately, we might, just like the 2017 eclipse was 3 minutes and something, and we had COVID come in 2020, or will it start from the beginning, but its influence will be over 4 years, 5?
Well, I think that it will, in the beginning, it will concern, more like difficult events happening in Central America. But a little later, maybe 1-2 years later, the effect of this eclipse will go to US. And in the end, will go to Canada. This is what I think.
Where it starts from.
It's progressing, yes. But there are specific things about the eclipse. Well, so what the ancients are saying. So the effect of 4 years and a half will involve different things. However, there are specific ancient texts about the meaning about this eclipse. So let's discover what the ancients are saying. So this eclipse will happen in the last degrees of Pisces, 26 degrees Pisces. This is sidereal signs, of course. It is a constellation of Pisces as well. Even though you may see someone saying that the eclipse will be in Aries, there is no such thing. So let's talk about the meaning. So I'm reading you now the ancient description of such an eclipse. They're saying, the ancient texts are saying that there will be anarchy of the army, and much cruelty. So the anarchy of the army and much cruelty. Of course, the army is not mentioned exactly which army this will be, but
What
we
would
can
it
imagine that.
Would it mean like the army not obeying the commanders and the leaders, or overthrowing the leaders? Or...
Yes, this is what the anarchy means, yes. So certain army can go under great pressure and the chain of command may be disrupted, and the soldiers may start to do whatever they want, including, as the ancient text saying, much cruelty. In such situations, this is very dangerous, of course. So this is the first thing that they say. Of course, we can only imagine what this can mean, but having in mind that we know very well where there are military conflicts today, and it seems that this may be about that. However, the eclipse is happening also in Mexico, USA, and Canada, and I can talk that then there will be certain unrest, I guess, in the military circles. There will be conflicts, disputes, I guess, lawsuits. So there will be troubles for the military. I already, by the way, if you remember when the President Biden swore for president, I made a prediction for the year and based also on the chart of his presidency. One of the things that I mentioned there was that there will be, from my point of view, big troubles for the army, which happened literally the same year with the leaving of Afghanistan behind and all the surrounding tragedies. On spiritual level, on physical level, there are many things to be talked about. And this topic is still hot, from what I know, in the politics. So, it's not necessarily only for Eastern Europe. So the ancient text is saying also there will be the dislike of man. The dislike of man may mean that in general people will be more prone to conflicts, obviously. Why they're saying this? I will give you some hints. I think it's because the last degrees of Pisces, with the exception of the last 2 degrees, but between 20th and 28th, and this is where on the 26th is the eclipse. These are degrees ruled by Mars. These are degrees ruled by Mars. And of course, it accentuates the military matters and conflicts. And I remember some other ancient texts relating these degrees also to the Navy. So because of the sign Pisces and it's Mars, so it relates more to the navel specifically. So I guess the troubles of whatever will happen is more about to the naval forces of whatever countries are involved.
Mhm.
So and again, so we have again a meaning of problems and dangers for military, but especially for the naval forces. And so the ancient text is continuing. Also, it gives dangers from water. So the next meanings that are listed, I'm not so sure. Not so sure it's about this eclipse because I found them under the general description for any eclipse in Pisces. But it's possible that some of the meanings are for eclipses happening elsewhere in Pisces. However, I will list them now, but I don't think these are so much sure, like the previous meanings. However, so they say dangers from water and snow and landslides and floods. So in general, danger from water on a big scale.
What?
So we know now the snow turns to water, the rivers and the reservoirs of water can be a problem sometimes.
Mm.
And the ancients are saying also collapses of buildings and also earthquakes near maritime zones. I remember when the North Node entered Pisces in sidereal signs. Back in September, in North Africa, there was a great disaster involving floods. Many people died.
Mm.
So let's hope such type of events will not repeat, and especially there. But it's a kind of a warning because Pisces, according to the ancient astrologers, is related to North Africa,
Oh.
especially Northwest Africa, like the countries there, like Libya, Algeria, Morocco.
Isn't Israel also on the Pisces? The 12 Israel?
No. The ancient texts are relating those lands like either with Aries or Scorpio,
Yes, it's good.
and the fight there never ceases.
The fight never stops, yeah.
Thousands of years have not stopped. Thousands of years, not centuries. There is always something going on. So there is, I think they're correct, of course, that it is ruled by Mars, all this territory there in the Near East. And so this is what the ancients are saying. So, anarchy of the army and much cruelty, the first meaning. Of course, such events, they can be triggering additional military tension. I will add that because the sign is Pisces, and we know that on the certain areas related to the Arabian Peninsula, there are those attacks from the Houthi rebels, which are related to their claim that they are giving a voice for the victims of the Palestinian side in the Israel conflict. So, but the logic is because it's related already to the maritime trade, and that the eclipse is happening in the sign of the ocean, and there are military matters involved. And the comet also seems to be in Pisces, etc., but goes to the sign of war areas. So it seems that there can be greater intensification of the conflict exactly there. This is how it looks for me, and we'll see. Of course, there are also other opportunities because there are also other hot places in the world that are surrounded by the ocean, like Taiwan, for example. So these are among the opportunities. Also in the Ukraine-Russian war, there is considerable level of the actions happening in the Black Sea.
Yeah, it's water there as well.
And so this is like an eclipse related to those topics. And now it's much also it's worse because, as I said, okay, the comet probably will be visible, but not only. Also, the conjunction of Saturn and Mars. The exact conjunction of Saturn and Mars happens on the 10th of April, 2 days later. But imagine this is the exact conjunction. Basically, they are very close in that time. They are on the 8th of April, they have only 1 degree difference. So basically, the conjunction is happening. It is already extremely intense. Everything related to it is going on in that time. And even now, I can say. And so an eclipse where Saturn and Mars are visible was considered by the ancients to be more disastrous compared to others. The rule was that if we see like Venus and Jupiter at the time of the eclipse, that the negative influences of the eclipse will be removed. However, the case is exactly the opposite.
Aren't they invisible still while the eclipse is happening? Oh, but the sun will be eclipsed, so we might be able even to see them during the day.
Maybe we'll be able to see them, yes. So
You
let's see. So if this is if they are even not visible, still they are present. And then if they're not visible, then they will represent like negative hidden forces
behind the scene. Yeah.
Yes. So all the trouble is there. So also, in addition, I will say the thing that is that easily can come to anyone's mind. I think there maybe is a danger of things like terrorist attacks. The reason for this is that when people are coming to me for a reading, for a consultation lately, most of them really have some really difficult aspects happening exactly around that time, which started to seem to me that it's something that is also on a mass level, something that gives stress to people because of big events going on. And so it's natural when Saturn and Mars are together, there can be intensifying of such type of cruel actions. And so danger of terrorist attacks increased, of course, with the comet, with the eclipse. I think those things are only becoming more and more intensified in the next 10 days because of this conjunction. So the conjunction is happening in Aquarius, the conjunction of Saturn and Mars. And the ancients are saying that Aquarius is related to two areas. So like
What?
in English maybe it's Kaisha, I'm not sure, Scythia in my language. So this is the territory of what is today Ukraine. You can say also Eastern Poland and the surrounding places. Also parts of Lithuania, Estonia, South Russia, even big parts of Georgia, Armenia, and so on. All this territory was considered to be related to Aquarius. Now there will be this conjunction, Saturn and Mars, and things will get more troublesome there, more dangerous. But among the options when Saturn and Mars are together is that sometimes in a crisis lies an opportunity, and Saturn can bring potentially an order to Mars. So let's hope that he will bring the opportunity for seizing the conflict. A complex situation obviously is evolving, but the negative meanings may prevail, right? So also, well, I guess enough of this combination. You know already that it will affect this month. So the effect, according to the ancients, the effect of the eclipse will be in the first 100 days. So the most intense things will happen in the first 100 days. But also effects will be there for 4 years in longer term.
Wow.
So now let's talk about also other things. There are many things to talk about because this month is so rich in meanings. So I'll try to list them without hesitation. So I'm reminding you, today is when Venus is setting.
The end of March.
Yeah, I mean like today. For
Today.
most of European countries and most of USA, this is happening today.
Venus
Venus
becomes
today is disappearing.
and Venus is peace, ease.
Venus is peace and harmony and happiness and fertility. And the ancient myths about Inanna or Ishtar, like from Sumer, from Mesopotamia, the ancient astrologers created allegories in the form of myths about what happens, and when the goddess of love, she was called the Queen of Heaven and Earth. When she disappears, the life on the earth and all the fertility, all the life, all the animals and plants, everything stands still. It's not growing, etc., etc. So, from this point of view, you can say also it's a sign of potential financial crisis.
Oh, the markets. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm even not always we know when Venus will appear again. Sometimes she can appear later than the appointed time. Now she will be invisible around 100 days.
A long time.
So it's definitely it's a sign of changes on the market in a more negative sense, which can bring the prices of certain topics, certain stocks higher. Like for example, Venus rules copper. Just give a hint.
Copper will go higher or lower?
I think higher.
Oh,
Yeah.
you hear that? Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not like focusing too much on this now. It is combined with Mercury also disappearing tomorrow. And Mercury is the planet of trade and money. So, of course, this means that the trade and the availability of money, etc., it will be not so great. But Mercury makes this 3 times a year, so it's not a big news, let's say. Combined with Venus, it makes it stronger. Definitely.
What about crypto?
Let's explain about crypto. I have I know that crypto is much related to Mars. It's not a big secret, I think. It is, of course, related to Mercury, as Mercury represents money. As the banknotes, these are documents, after all, whatever they are, Mercury. So Mercury-Mars combination rules Bitcoin. And what is happening now? Mars was exalted to the middle of March. He reached his exaltation around 11th, 12th of March, and this is when Bitcoin reached his highest price.
Mm-hmm.
So Bitcoin was definitely following what Mars was doing. But Mars is getting exalted on the 27th degree of Capricorn in Sidereal. So, of course, remember that you can catch this logic only if you follow Sidereal. If you follow other type of signs, like tropical signs, you will miss this. And you have the wrong, no movement on the market, etc., losses. But at the exact moment of the exaltation of Mars, when he reached the exact degree of exaltation, around those days, this was the peak of the price of Bitcoin. And however, a couple of days later, he enters Aquarius. But this time, in Aquarius, there waits for him Saturn. And in the moment when he entered the dominion of Saturn, where Saturn is with his body waiting, the price declined immediately. And now Mars is heading towards the conjunction with Saturn, which means there will be a correction of the price. There will be a moment, this is my thought only, you may not follow it. I think there will be evidence of the true price of Bitcoin. Because Saturn will show what the truth is, what is the just price. So around the conjunction in the next 10 days, you can make a mark about how is the real price of Bitcoin, and then you can mark the strategy for your speculation about Bitcoin in the future, so to say. So, but only, of course, sidereal logic. So that's why I think now there will be further corrections about Bitcoin and the price going down probably. However, later,
Mars in
so
Aries.
it will be, I guess, a good time to buy Bitcoin because later Mars will rise. He will rise in May from invisibility. And shortly later in June, he will enter his own sign Aries, which must mark another jump of the price. So if you use the low moment now in April, then you can benefit from the higher prices in June.
They
This is what I
expect
think.
halving of Bitcoin every 4 years or something. Bitcoin halves, whatever, becomes twice. They
2
halve
years. You mentioned 2 years.
2 years, yes. And they
And
expect
what
after that to really start rising
whose
again.
cycle is 2 years and a half? Well,
Mars, exactly.
Mars, yes, okay. So
Exactly.
the cycle of Mars, the planet of energy, as you know, Bitcoin is much related to the energy. So Bitcoin to a big level follows the condition of Mars, and that's it.
People asking about other altcoins like XRP, Algo, Ethereum, they follow with Bitcoin. Would you say so? Because they're also
I guess it is possible, but it is needed like good knowledge about exactly on what
oh, I lost my internet.
showing the results.
Sorry, you interrupted for a little bit. It depends.
Okay, let's hope it will not happen anymore.
Okay.
So this is for the Bitcoin. This is what I'm sure about. For the rest of them, I don't have much observation, but of course they are related to Mercury, and if they are based on energy consumption with Mars, if on something else with other planets, this has to be researched specifically if someone is very interested. And so Mercury and Venus are now setting, which means, of course, people can have problems in communication, people can have problems in love. That it begins a transitional period of spiritual work because Mercury and Venus, invisible, the ancients are saying the invisible planets are going to be on the council of the gods. In other words, they are approaching the sun, the spiritual center, to finish their previous cycles and deeds and to accept new quest, new task, new ways of development. And so it's an important time for searching for new ideas, for inspiration, for mental, for psychological, spiritual development. From this point of view, it's a good time. Otherwise, Mercury and Venus invisible are not showing much effectiveness in the material world, especially for the people related to Venus and Mercury, like ruled by them. Like, I mean, people symbolized by Venus, these are people related to art, people related to all kinds of prophecies, all kinds of professions, creating balance, harmony, and beauty. Mercury is straight, of course. Mercury is intellectuals. Of course, it is expected famous intellectuals and famous persons of art, some of them to be sick and some of them even to pass in the next 2-3 days. This will be a recognition on the side of the heavens for their importance. Of course, this cannot happen to those who do not have their cycles already showing this, their personal cycles. So there is no reason to fear, I guess. And these are some of the meanings, of the setting. However, the setting of Venus is really important because it is happening now in the first astrological month of the year, according to the ancient calendars, to the ancient understanding of the year. As you can imagine, the ancients used the spring in general, and in certain ways, they considered the year to be beginning in this moment when there are different ways, but when the moon is in certain phase and not far away from the spring equinox. And this already happened in Venus setting in the first 30 days. This period, the ancients are saying, is a sign for the entire year. So we have potentially losing balance, harmony, peace, and famous people of art in this period. For the entire year, this is a bad sign, of course. What the ancients are saying is also that this is a dangerous time for the women that are pregnant. So like today and the next couple of days. Also, the ancient text is saying that there will be wailings in the land. Wailings in the land, in a certain place of the text, I think they were really talking about the condition of women, including, I guess, pregnant women. So, pregnant women, take care, right? So, and the wailings of the land prophecy is about the entire year then, because Venus disappears in the first month of the year. Everything that signifies is for the entire year. Another meaning that there will be conflicts, including military, and that the market in the country will fall. This again is a meaning for the year, so it can happen now, but also there can be other moments in this year that are corresponding to this meaning. They're saying the market will fall. This mysterious, a little bit, of course, expression still says a lot. Also, another meaning of the setting of Venus is that they list by name certain country that is already not existing, but basically they say that a country that is in the east will fall. Country that is in the east will fall, they say. So we can wonder which this country is that can suffer in military conflict, but there is a prediction that there will be decisive events.
Decisive.
This then brings
Decisive. Did you say decisive event? Or?
Decisive, yes, because if a country is falling, then of course this means maybe there is hope also for peace in certain areas. Falling means that the matter is finished. So also Venus that is setting and disappearing is this is not good for the countries related to Venus, which are the most important that come to mind are Ukraine and France. They're definitely related to Venus, including based on ancient texts. However, Venus is supposed to appear again in the summer, in July, so then there will be improvement in all those matters that Venus signifies. Let's say that probably all those meanings are stronger in the first half of the year. Tomorrow the setting of Mercury, the ancients are interpreting it as that is causing the grief to the army.
The what?
Grief to the army, the ancient text is saying. This is tomorrow, in the next 2-3 days. The army is not specified exactly which one, but I guess on different levels this will be true for many armies, and especially for those, of course, who are now intensely participating in combat. I'm prone to think that this can be for the attacking part, because it's the place of the setting of Mercury is sidereal sign of Aries. And Aries shows, I think, the more active part.
The aggressor, yeah, the more active.
The attacking part, not the defensive one. This is what I think, however. So this is what the ancients are saying. They are also saying that Mercury can bring plagues and disease with his setting. So then it's more sensitive time about health, about viruses in the next days. It indicates that maybe those things will intensify more or less in April. Having in mind that Saturn and Mars conjunction is happening, the setting of Mercury and Venus, as they rule for many people important places related to their health, like the ascendant or the sixth house or the eighth house. So this includes many people, like literally half of the zodiac, half of people on Earth. So in such a way, it can be said that the immune systems of people will be weaker, combined with the setting of Mercury with those meanings that the ancients are mentioning. Of course, this makes April more intense month for health-related troubles.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and there are many other things, but let's mention what is good.
Yay!
Yeah. So, what is good? As you can see, all the planets are somehow suffering, with the exception of one of them. This is Jupiter, and it is true for him only until the end of the month. Even in the end of the month, even he will be afflicted. But for the month, if you want to see where there is a good influence happening, this is where Jupiter is posited in our horoscopes. Because he will be visible, he will be not subject so much to bad aspects.
When does Jupiter become visible? Oh, it's visible. It is visible.
He's now visible, and he's about to become invisible in the very first days of May, which means that basically after 25th of April, he's not so strong anymore. But until then, he's really strong and will be helpful to everybody. Of course, this is good for the people ruled by Jupiter, having sidereal signs Pisces and Sagittarius on the ascendant, which are Capricorn and Aries in Western tropical astrology, 90% of the cases. So those people are somehow more blessed in this period. But remember, in the end of the month, also weakening and lack of effectiveness comes for them. Jupiter will soon reappear in the sky, but it will be in June. We'll talk about that later. So basically, you can see that all the planets, one after another, with the last one being Jupiter in the end, will suffer some affliction in the month of April. This makes the month of April not a really good one to start any new ventures, actually. There is also something that will compensate the invisibility of Venus throughout April, because on the International Day of Humor, 1st of April, Venus will enter the sign of her exaltation. And when she enters this, there are ancient texts that are saying then that this she is in a chariot in that time, which means she has protection, even from the invisibility to a big part. So now the problematic events are happening now, today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and on the 1st of April, there is improvement for the people related to Venus.
Mm-hmm.
All those beautiful women, people of art, etc., and the people who are ruled by Venus, like ascendant Taurus and Libra in sidereal, but Gemini and Scorpio in Western astrology. So, and Venus will be like that until 25th of April. This is how long the protection will last. But on the 25th of April, she goes in the worst possible situation, becoming debilitated in Aries and invisible, and ruled by Mars, who is with Saturn, etc., etc. So then around the month that is travel zone will follow for those people in meanings. And so, of course, I can list for each ascendant what Jupiter will do, but you can find this also through reading, through watching through regular transits on which house Jupiter is posited for each one of you. And the meanings of those houses will hold the good things for the month, especially until 20th. No later, I think.
Say something about Jupiter conjunct Uranus, so it's not, Uranus is not considered important from ancient perspective.
Oh, yes, yes. You remind me about that. This is actually an important cycle. So the last time when it happened was, well, the Second World War. So exactly, I mean, the conjunction happening exactly in this place, in Aries. Well, it's the sign of violence, right? Jupiter and Uranus. The last time they saw intensification of wars. But what they signify is that the good forces, so to say, the ones that are bringing freedom from oppression, they started at the time to have the upper hand. So the meaning of Jupiter and Uranus is that freedom, democracy in general will start to prevail. Of course, on personal level, Jupiter and Uranus is good for the condition of society and for the expansion of human rights. Those who will be benefiting the most are the people who have ascendant ruled by Jupiter or having Aquarius rising. Of course, this is sidereal. This is Pisces in tropical astrology. They will be the bringers of change, I guess, and having the most progress. But Jupiter and Uranus in this sign conjunction also can bring danger of accidents, because the nature of the sign is violent. This is how Aries is named by the ancients, a violent sign. So then we can see much more violence and conflicts, and maybe aerial combat, aerial accidents. I do not recommend you to fly in that time, even though some of the pilots, some of the people related to aerial forces, they will have achievements in that time. Also, it is, I think, dangerous for the same reason. Uranus, he is bringing freedom, he is bringing progress, but the means that he will achieve this in this way is through Aries, and Aries is action. Aries can be even violence. Aries is fight. So there is a saying that be careful, be careful when such things happen, so that not to burn unnecessary in the fire. So that's why Uranus will bring, this conjunction will bring good things, but possibly through challenging means.
It's happening below the star Algol, which is above it in constellation. What can you tell us a bit about that, this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on the 20th of April?
Algol is a strange star. So she's related to military conflict and to much bloodshed. Even it is considered that the Arabian military commanders in medieval times, at the time of their empire, the Caliphate, were avoiding the days when Algol is afflicted, because they knew that there will be too much unnecessary bloodshed.
Mm-hmm.
So now Uranus and Jupiter there, they can maybe increase the number of victims. And the other side of the meaning of Algol is that it is also a financial star. When Jupiter and Uranus go there, I think this is positive for gaining money, actually. Mm-hmm. This can give some unique opportunities, especially to the people ruled by Jupiter and Uranus, and maybe for the people related to Uranus. Like, I mean, these are the modern technology like AI, for example. I guess this market will see expansion.
And one last question, people asking about silver and gold prices. Do you have any idea?
Silver and gold prices. Well, I have not thought about that, but let's see. The gold, there are different opinions. Of course, the gold is considered to be the metal of the sun.
Mhm.
But I have seen also other opinions that is related to Mars. As Mars goes with Saturn, there can be a correction of the price of gold. The Sun, however, slowly goes to the sign of his exaltation. So after 15th of April, so the correction may happen. Some price of the gold maybe will go down around 10th of April. Not sure about that, but surely will go up after 15. This is the surest thing. About gold, this is more complex topic. It's more complex, definitely because the moon is related to the gold and her condition is very changeable.
The silver, you mean?
The silver, yes. But so the silver metal of gold, it needs greater checks about the yearly horoscopes of the world, etc. To say about that.
Because
So, but
they constantly, every year pass through the sun passes through the same places every year. It will conjunct Saturn, whatever it needs. And people saying, when will the gold reach like 8,000, 10,000? But I guess the gold is very regulated, like the sun is very regular. It's
yeah, it's the golden standard, so to say, right? I think that the price of gold reflects the level of economy, and I have seen that, for example, the price of gold is so much higher as much the inflation rose.
Mhm.
So it corresponds to this. The silver maybe will go down, judging from the weakness of Venus as she rules the exaltation of the moon. So literally now it can go down a little bit. Later, potentially in the summer, in August, there can be some rising of the price
Mhm.
when the sun is in the sign of the moon. But these are just some thoughts. I'm not like doing now professional prediction about
Yeah,
that.
sure. I was just looking at
So
questions.
don't base your movements on this statements. If I decide to move to financial astrology, really to predict the market prices, I will make predictions only when I see that I'm really successful about that. But at which time maybe I will be not doing any more readings, but who knows? We'll see. I'm just joking, of course. I love astrology. That's why I'm doing this. Otherwise, long ago, I would have been doing only financial, like many people are trying, and failing miserably. Miserably. Right? I know astrologers who, risked a lot and lost. I remember a case when certain astrologer, this is a story, certain astrologer somewhere in a unnamed country, let's not name names, said, oh, I think that because Jupiter will be in Taurus now, the market and the price of gold, etc., will go up. So let's make money. And the other astrologer, who later became very famous, present, he said, okay, that's so good. Go and sell your apartment, invest everything, and be rich. And there was, of course, silence. But I mean, you have to be extremely sure of your knowledge and understanding in order to go there, right? Not to mislead people, I mean.
Mhm.
Now I have cited the observation about Bitcoin because it's something that happened in the past, and it seems to confirm definitely this, right?
Oh,
So
it's
this
very
logic
fun
is more certain.
because it's so unpredictable. It goes up and down like Mars. The most unpredictable star, isn't it?
Yes, there are many people who are speculating, and some of them are winning, but later they are losing. So, as for with everything, astrology is also developing branch of knowledge, and it's difficult someone to say that he knows everything.
Thank you. Wow, that was amazing. Almost 2 hours. We went hour and a half. Thank you so much, Trifon. We had at one point, we have almost 1,000 people watching live. Without us even.
I hope they're having good time.
Sorry. I can't help but laugh when you come because
Yeah, it will be a show, but around the 10th of April it can be very stressful. So people watch out between 8th and 10th of April. This is the main message. Otherwise, if you don't have bad aspects, you will be not afflicted by effects and eclipse, etc.
Thank you so much. My whole family is afflicted by this eclipse. So let's see where it's going. What
Crossing
orb
fingers.
would you give? Because if whoever is listening, tropical astrology, the eclipse is on 19 areas. So 19, what orb would you give it? 3 degrees on both sides?
Yes. If it was like to be correct about tropical signs, 19 degrees will see the decline of monarchs and kings. And let's mention finally what the sun can mean. When the sun is eclipsed and it is eclipsed above Mexico, USA, Canada, this can mean that there is a danger for the ruler of those countries, like the US president or the Mexican president or Canadian president, one of them can see big danger to his life and health in
Yes.
those next 100 days and starting with the time around the eclipse.
Because that's the rulers, the sun.
The sun is the ruler, yes. The sun is the ruler. And the sun is the government. And so this is a sign of more political tension in those countries and danger for the life of their leaders.
There is a fascinating story which I heard from a colleague astrologer. We just did a panel on the Astrology Hub about the eclipse. His name was Christopher, and he said that the king of Siam, like 100 years ago, there would be a huge eclipse, and people know that they shouldn't watch it, but he said this is old-fashioned, we're modern people, and he built the whole tribune to watch it. Was it the last emperor of China? I'm not sure who he was. And he went to watch it with all his guests and everything, and he got bit by a mosquito during the eclipse and died a few days later. The king of that country, whatever, somewhere in Asia.
Yes. The ancients are saying that, okay, advice for the leaders of the countries. Advice is that the ancients, for example, the ancient astrologer priests, the ancient kingdoms, they're saying to their kings at the time of the eclipse, stay inside the palace. Don't go out for a few days. Yeah. So stay in your residency, stay and watch out for your condition to be good in order not to have problems.
And on that positive note,
Yeah. Well, if something is destined, the eclipse will show it, but it's good to be having attention.
Thank you so much, Trifon. Thank to all the 1,000 people who are watching.
Thank you, people. Thank you, people. Next time we'll talk about a little bit more like positive trends, definitely.
And whoever wants a personal reading with Trifon, he's doing 2 promotions from today for the next 2 weeks. Business horoscope down with $100 discount, and a personal reading with Trifon 60 minutes. It's only $175 down from $250. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us, and may you be blessed.
Thank you.